Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Hi Rogers, can I ask you something?
Shoot.
What does corruption mean?
Well, summarily, corruption is abuse of public power for personal gain or for the benefit of a group to which one owes allegiance. For example, when a public office is abused by an official accepting or soliciting a bribe. By the way, private people can be corrupt too, like bribing police officers to escape fines.
Okay. So exactly how does that concern me?
Well, do you pay taxes?
I guess, yeah. What does that have to do with this?
Everything. Because those taxes you pay are supposed to facilitate services you use, like water, electricity, roads construction, medicines in hospitals, name it.
Okay, that is much bigger than I thought. But it can be stopped, right?
Well, yes it can, although it may not be as easy as it sounds. And here is the reason why. Corruption roots are grounded in our country's social, political, economic, bureaucratic traditions and policies.
So, what has kept it going this long? I mean, why don't we stop it?
Well, the main reason why it has been here for so long is because institutions are weak, either as a result of poorly defined ethical standards of public service, weak administrative and financial systems, or ineffective watchdog agencies.
What can we do to stop it?
At a national level, we must focus on strengthening the independence and effectiveness of public institutions that fight corruption. At a personal level, we must commit to never giving a bribe.
I promise I'll never give a bribe.
Well, that's a great decision you have made. Me and you now have to spread this message to all our friends. If we all do our part, corruption will be no more.
This message is brought to you by Alternative Digital. The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
A very, very good evening and a warm welcome to this edition of the Hotline Show. My name is Edgar Matthew Karuhanga. Today is the 15th day of May 2023. There are still many stories that are happening in Uganda. But for today's edition, I am sitting in for Comrade Abdulatif Mukasa, and we'll be cruising up to 9 p.m. You know what happens here. We talk about each and everything that is happening in the country, and of course we try to find solutions to the various challenges that Uganda always faces every other day. Last week, there's a continued spate of murders, especially under the influence of guns. We saw one private, Ivan Wawire, shooting down an Indian over financial challenges or a loan that he had acquired from that particular entity. Yesterday, that was on Sunday, this particular gentleman was arrested, and today he was arraigned in court. That is Private Wawire. He was trying to escape through Busia to enter Kenya to try maybe to maneuver his way around. This is not the only issue that is affecting Uganda. In Arua, we also had another gentleman who was shot dead. And of course, up to today, we don't know about their silence. Yesterday morning, the dawn that welcomed today, we also had another policeman killed, and this one was one of the bodyguards of ASP Nampima, that is the deputy spokesperson of the Uganda police. This follows another incident that happened when Kano Okello Engola's bodyguard shot him dead. That was Private, I think, Sabiti. Yes, that is just a few, occasions that have happened, and we've seen people losing their lives. Up to today, the police is trying to do their level best, according to them, to fight this particular issue. We are going to be dissecting on this particular challenge and other challenges that are affecting Uganda today. We have an infrastructure problem, a total breakdown of infrastructure in the country. As we speak today, Katonga is no more. That means the people who want to go through Masaka really cannot access this road. They have to use another 190-kilometer extra route that many people are finding tedious and challenging. We also earlier told you about a story here when the main road that goes to Kisoro also had a challenge there. Let me not talk about the potholes that we are experiencing in Kampala today because I want my panelists to be talking about that. Today, I have a member from the Uganda People's Congress, that is UPC, Mr. Ochieno Joseph, and of course, a member from the NEED, that is NEED, that is Mr. Odaka Asman, and we're going to be talking about these issues up to 9 p.m. Please do join the conversation. We are at The Alternative Uganda on Facebook, at Digitalk TV still on Facebook, on YouTube at The Alternative Uganda, same as at Digitalk TV still on YouTube, and on Twitter we are at The Alternative Uganda. Allow me welcome my panelists for the day today. I'll start with you, Mr. Ochieno. You're welcome.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here all the time and to be here with my young brother. Today is a tour affair. I hope that long term we are able to have a conversation that ensures that the Republic of Uganda returns to its normalcy, and then everybody in this country is able to be as firm about the future of this country as Tororo Rock.
All right. I also have Mr. Odaka Asman. It's been a while since I last hosted you here. Yes. You're welcome to the hotline.
Yeah, I'm always available and always a pleasure being hosted here. Okay. I think today is a special one, being hosted with my big brother. You know, three things about that man.
Yes, sir.
When he speaks English, he makes your English appear fake English. We grew up admiring Joseph, you don't know. For us who come from Tororo, just admiring and being proud of him. There is also something Ugandans have not discovered about Ochieno.
Yes.
Yes.
And what is that? Do you want to inform them?
I want them to listen to him. Just give him your ears. Yeah. I want to greet everybody, and a pleasure again to be here.
Of course. Before we delve into the main topic of discussion today, I want us to also first highlight something about the increasing infrastructure breakdown in this country. I'm going to start with you, Mr. Ochieno, if you do not mind. What is happening to Uganda today? How have we reached this point where every road is literally down? We're talking about Ginger Road. That has not been mentioned, but that road up to where you come from, I think you feel that challenge driving through that particular road. In the past, we had a challenge with Mitiana stretch up to Mubende, but I think that has been rectified recently. It's now slightly better. In Kampala, everywhere you're passing, there is a pothole or a challenge of a road. When it rains, you don't want to pass through Kampala city. How did we get to this point, sir?
In UPC, we could only say, and we can only say, we told you so. I find it very hard because before we came on air, I was just having a conversation with a young mentee of mine, and that reminds me to acknowledge and appreciate Asuman's very kind compliments to me. Indeed, I was talking to somebody of his generation, and we were discussing a number of wider national issues. And part of the question was whether or not our messages are sufficient from a UPC perspective, and some of my own spaces are sufficient for young people, if at all. And we both concluded that, yes, this country needs a contextual, historical background, and young people need to be rather patient, normally, when listening to some of us. And where they're not able to listen to us, young people need to get encouraged to read and research more. In that, they will find the froth, the lies about this country, the lies that NRM led by Mr. Museveni has told this country, and how much short change they've been subjected to. But also, it's important for us that while doing that, we're able to contextualize, therefore, the reality today, and so therefore, as you rightly say, how we came here. How we came here is unfortunately not an accident. How we came here is the fact that we've got a regime that is military. We've got a regime that is not accountable to people. We've got a regime that did not have a national agenda, a national program. Definitely not a national agenda. Definitely not in 1980 as the NRA-UPM, Uganda Patriotic Movement at the time. I was just joining the adulthood, 17, 18. And so I was conscious enough to listen to Mr. Museveni, listen to Dr. Semogeri, and listen to Dr. Bote, and gladly, consciously, as young, sharp students at the time, made a conscious decision that the message for me, for my parents, for this country, for our teachers, for our brethren then at universities and colleges, possibilities for jobs, those in public services, and our future was in UPC and Obote, as granted then, because we saw genuinely something about this nationhood and something about a possibility for our future.
Yes,
I don't remember what Mr. Museveni represented at the time. Fast forward, granted, he lost those elections quite rightly because he didn't have a base. He didn't have an argument that sold, but also he was fairly young political party then. So obviously also understand we didn't expect him to win by and large. But in 1986, when Museveni came, having gone to the bush rather than going to the courts, when they came with this very fudged so-called 10-pound program. And I still find it very sad that some Ugandans bought into this thing. Because I said it was froth, it was baseless. One of it was this thing to build an independent, integrated, self-sustaining economy. If then that was it, it would then bring you to the idea that these are guys who are coming up with new radical agenda, new radical ideas that would build onto what was there, build onto the realities that were there, including rehabilitating, granted if they found a broken system, they will rebuild it, you know, rebuild that system and have an agenda how you're able to then build for the future. That would have meant that Mr. Museveni should have invested more in health of our country. And here we're going to talk about mental health and the state of our people's minds and some of the challenges and implications, health-related. None of us are experts on that, but we'll discuss it from a political context. Invest in our health, the services. Invest in agriculture, which is the backbone of this economy. Asuman and I, when we left Tororo, the first big infrastructure by UPC before Kibimba Rice Scheme for agriculture was Busitema National Agricultural College. This first became a slum, and then now has been turned into a university. So a National Agricultural College, deliberately, consciously thought of by our national leaders in the 60s, now becomes that. So agriculture Z, the non-thinking element of it. So here we're talking economics and realities and how we got into here.
Yes.
I'm not boring you. So education. You should be able to invest in education so that when a man goes to university, if he does law, he's able to be the lawyer that is able to be part of contribution to a civil and a decent and law-abiding society, including equity and justice for our people. If he went for engineering, then you know that he would be the one to contribute to building Bujagali. If he became an engineer, he would be partly contributing to building the rail networks that UPC had proposed to develop, build on, which these guys have sunk. And so therefore, we will not be talking about bridges, road bridges. We'll be talking in partly to rail bridge networks. So in other words, infrastructure literally collapsed. Mr. Museveni, knowing very well that there was beginning to have some bit of Chinese money, relatively easy, free Chinese money, and it was a good way of bribing corruption, in the last 20 years started to allegedly invest in infrastructure. But because it's a borrowed shot, these guys started saying, we will be doing it on roads. Infrastructure is not roads. Infrastructure is railways. Infrastructure is roads. Infrastructure is schools. Infrastructure is hospitals. It's a holistic thing. Infrastructure is networks. When I first returned from exile, I remember that very well, not far from here. I was at a network opposite there. I don't want to give them free advert. But I was telling the journalists then that, the rail line that passes below your studios, we're going to our industrial areas. You cannot talk about a growing economy when you've killed trains. We had passenger trains. I don't know, were you lucky enough to jump on one to Jinja?
No,
You missed it. So they missed the trains. The other day I was coming from the east, as you know, up to last night, and the big traffic. The heavy load on the road. When I reached Jinja, I was telling my young nephew, the new carriageway. These are things of the 60s, have never been improved, but instead, the burden of freight and passengers from the trains have come to the roads.
Yes.
In short, therefore,
bring it
we got here by simply having a system that had no clue. NRA tried to kill education, kill the health, kill the agriculture, kill the environment, kill the broader infrastructure, whatever was there, killed it, and then instead attempted to build a security network. So a nation in which every other time Asman asks for his uncles and aunties what is happening to our court, and said, no, we are still building your security. And please don't complain, now you're sleeping, as if they never were not sleeping in Toro. Things like that. Yeah. So really, we got here because simply there was no investment in strategic thinking. When the Northern Bypass very quickly came up, and because of our shoutings, Northern Bypass was supposed to be part of the Kampala Orbiter. It's part of the UPC programs of the 60s. Kampala Orbiter, this is the Kampala city. Then you know that the city will grow in the 40 to 50 years' time. Build a big road around it. Northern Bypass comes. They build it as if like a path, taking some cattle down to Rachitura. The thing flops. Within a few years, then they realize they need to expand it, waste money on it. Neither here nor there. Okay. So in other words, systematically, they have not been proper investment. But then because of corruption, I was looking at one road being done just down in Zambia. You quite clearly look around and see what's happening. And you wonder, are there engineers involved here? In many cases, either they're no engineers or they're engineers, but they're fake engineers. And if they're not fake engineers, they're engineers who are absolutely substantially corrupted. So if Penetti, an Italian woman, who has no clue about coffee, there's no evidence that she's been involved in major projects, including, maybe the healthcare industry, takes on a hospital project. It's not surprising that we've got a Lobong hospital not far from here at the cost of $370 million US. That is criminal. We shall talk about and yet, very quickly, in Tanzania, there is a Mkapa General Hospital at $60 million.
Exactly.
Think about
very
it.
less, and it's already working miracles there. Innocent Ainebiona, thank you so much for watching. I'm seeing some of your comments here. Mr. Adman, Odaka, Asman, first of all, we have very expensive roads, if you didn't know. I think one of the roads here, Elias Lukwago was fighting over this particular road that you've driven on coming here. And you were saying it's so inflated. How can a kilometer be at 15 billion shillings? Why is it that with that inflated cost of roads, we are seeing roads that are really spoiling at a very fast rate? Every day you'll always find a new pothole, and they are covering it, and after a week you're going to find another pothole. Isn't the money we are paying enough? What could be the problem in your perspective, sir?
Well, thank you. You should also have underlined that Uganda has the most expensive road in the world.
Yes, in the world, exactly. and Kenya also has a similar road like this.
And the discussion about the usefulness of that road and how Uganda and what should be, and could be something else.
Yes.
But let me tell you, I have told the people this. Analyzing this government, comparing it with others, and then the leader, I have drawn a conclusion that Mr. Museveni, throughout his life, struggled, learned how to get into power and be president, but also keep that power, but extremely clueless on what a president should be. That is my conclusion.
But it's been 37 years.
Yes, that's why I told you he learned and properly how to become president. but also how to remain president, but not how to perform as president.
Okay.
Because that's why everything else is a mess.
And maybe, just not interrupting,
yes.
to emphasize when I was talking about the security thing, maybe I went round.
Yes.
So the security industry is built an industry to keep him and check Ugandans.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So, when you, let me focus specifically on your question of roads. You see, these roads, you move on these roads. I was just telling you off air here that a colleague of mine came visiting me from Kenya, and we were driving around. And you see me, I was showing him, you see this, you see this. Then all of a sudden, and then she was quiet. You know, I thought then when she was going to say something, she would say something in line with what I was showing her or something. Then she tells me, but Mr. Daka, don't you think there's a problem in this country?
Yeah.
I said, what? You mean you people can drive on these roads and everything, you think everything is
okay?
Yeah, yeah. This is quite a young person who is coming. She's asking me if she can come and do internship.
Yes.
But you see,
merely.
At that level,
merely, yes.
But you see, but she can recognize that there is a fundamental governance problem in this country. But you see, we have professors, we have everyone else in this country moving as if everything is normal. I have told you in this same studio, because when you look at the road and you want to focus on the roads, you'll make the discussion appear as if the other sectors are okay and everything else is fine. Yeah. Let me tell you, the way you see the road represents the exact way our democracy is. The roads represent is a reflection of how our health system
yeah, because
is.
when you look
the
at
road represents how the welfare of those shooting and those
exactly,
policemen and so on.
It feels like the country is just in a total breakdown. The roads are not working. The doctors are striking. You're having UPDF soldiers just shooting and security men.
It is because you have a leader who learned how to become president, but clueless on what a president or a leader should be. I have told you here several times. You see, let me tell you. My brother is talking about, for example, Pinetti. That lady. I have said it before. That lady is simply being paid. That lady is not, does not know anything about healthcare, does not know anything about coffee. She has never, for us who have done research.
You were here and you said that there may be someone behind Pinetti. A few
no,
weeks after you mentioned
yes.
it,
I told you,
came
good, you were a witness, but I also told you that that lady was actually an armed dealer, an illegal armed dealer, who gave them guns, and they are paying her back through our coffee. That's the truth. So it is a country run on dealership. We are being mortgaged here, mortgaged there, mortgaged the other. You know, when you're discussing about Uganda, it even makes your argument not coherent because of the magnitude of the entire thing. Because you don't know what to discuss, because everything else, like the other singer said, system volongoto. Let me tell you, these roads, Lukwago talks about the exorbitance, or in terms of cost.
It's inflated. That is, if a kilometer is costing 15 billion, let me just bring it to perspective. That means that kilometer is costing $4 million because that is 15 billion.
Yes.
$4 million.
You see, my brother talked about the engineers being either fake. But you see, the question I always ask, how come when our own professionals, when in the country, perform poorly, but when you go out of the country, you find they are doing fantastic work. It means there is a problem with us here. System. It is not them.
System.
You need to read a book called Why Nations Fail.
Yeah, yeah.
You'll understand those things. You see, that northern bypass, my brother, you're talking about, they went and got money from wherever they got for 2 carriages. 2 carriages.
2 carriers. Yeah.
Yes. So they had, through, you see, their insatiable appetite for stealing, they stole an entire carriage. So they went, that was under Minister Nasasira. So they ate that entire carriage.
Who was once upon a time a permanent minister for transport.
During his permanence.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
So they ate one entire carriage. And then the carriage they made it so shallow that
Yeah.
so there are those other flyovers that could not even fit some trailers. So then when they went back and again borrowed money for again 2 carriages. So some money was taken to go and renovate this side, then again, and then they ate one another carriage. So meaning that a road, that entire northern bypass is about 22 kilometers, but it has been, they are on that road, they've constructed it for 11 years now. Now, when you go on that road, the carriage that they just finished the other day, there are potholes developing. You get it? But you see, we also have in the region here governments that came. For example, I was privileged to visit Tanzania before Magufuli was president. But I also visited when he had been president for 5 years. I know how sane leadership can change a country.
I'm telling you, he changed Tanzania to a middle-income country in 5 years.
You needed to know the kind of traffic jam that was in their capital city. And you needed to know how that entire thing was changed just 4 years after his presidency. Now, let me tell you, this government has no excuse making our cars break down all the time or moving into these bad roads. It doesn't have. If there is any government that has had goodwill from both Ugandans, goodwill from the international community, goodwill from everybody else to do good, it is this government. These brothers of mine had rebels to fight, had these to fight. Just imagine this government operated under a constrained environment, the UPC and the rest operated. Do you think you would even be having food to eat in your house? Probably they would be stealing food from our saucepans. So, the kind of roads we go through, the issue of corruption. You see, corruption is part of the grease that sustains this government in power. So, if you have a road like that, they created under the road fund. You know, the process of creating the road fund originated from the East African Community negotiations. When they said each member state creates a special fund. And part of how to raise that resource was express penalty, part of that, and then, of course, allocation of parliament and so on. But you know that it is only in this country, in Uganda, among the member states, that even the express penalties you pay. You know, the other day they told you that police, some people, members in police, decided to create, do you know, a parallel account. Do you know a state that somebody creates a parallel account that you think you're banking money in consolidated account, but it goes to somebody's, I mean, you still have, can you continue saying you have a state?
Mr. Odaka, and that has been going on for 2 years and nobody has known that.
Yes, it has, and not just in that. You remember when they were registering border boys in Kampala here, after about 2-3 months, when boys were paying 70,000. Do you know 4,000, close to 40,000 border people went registering, paying that money. Later on, Minister of Kampala comes and says, no, we don't know that account. We don't know in which account that money was being paid. you see, things happen in this country. You talk about them, and the one who has not thinks you're making up some lies of some sort. I mean, those things happen only in failed states.
Are you trying to say that now we are a failed state? And I was with Dr. Bessie also mentioned something like that.
No. It is worse than that. It is actually worse than that. If you know the truth about this country, the way things are operating, tell me, you think a country, a state that can follow Wadatu Wabwire and arrest him 3 kilometers into Kenya, you get it?
Helped by Kenyan operatives.
Of course, the tracking started here, and they will tell you that after he killed, he called the girlfriend. after talking to the girlfriend, he got a taxi. He got a border up to maybe Banda. After that, he got a taxi to, and they were telling you that that state cannot detect that there is somebody who has created a private account to defraud government. Now, if that is not some kind of an inbuilt system to defraud citizens, then what do you want me to say? So it is either they are making up a failure in regard to our statehood so that they still, you know, these guys operate as if they have some country they are preparing elsewhere, and after they have robbed this one clean, they will be shifting to their country. That's how these countries operate.
So where does all this, especially when it comes to the infrastructure breakdown, where does it leave a Ugandan out there? Like myself, the taxpayer?
You see, there was a time we were told that when roads break down, you'd see an allocation of budget and so on, and they would tell us, they would give us timeline and say, we are going to fix the road like this, we are going to fix the road like this, we are going to fix the road like this. And this is the timeline. Today, you have pictures on your screens that they are fixing the roads, but they are collecting debris from collapsed building. Is the one now being not even being used to fill in? I mean, what horrible picture would we ever have other than that? Let me tell you. The president is telling us, you're talking about 13 billion per kilometer of road. I think, also in the studio or somewhere else. And by then, I think it was around the World Cup. In Liberia, people were beginning attempting to collect signatures to impeach their president for using $2,000 to go and watch the World Cup. And to me,
for his son or something?
No, himself.
Yeah.
And you see, I was here. You have to go and watch the Sun.
Yes.
But also their team was there. Now, but for me, it kind of, I say it now, our own president uses $500,000 every day. That's over 2 billion shillings. And nobody is questioning, and that is every day. But the other one, just about $2,000. The other one, 500, and this 2,000. And for us, we seem to be, it is okay. Now, we have, you see, I told you, the issue about this country is so terrible. We only need, the only thing you people need to engage us as leaders. And sometimes when I meet senior friends, like senior brothers like Joseph, I ask them, and some of them who, especially those who have worked with Museveni, say, now, really, did you not detect this fraud at the beginning? What happened? You mean you did not? You mean the guy was this genius, or this smart to lie, to put all of you in one basket, lie to you and push us into this trap?
What do they say?
There's one who just told me, my son, let's stop that conversation.
Let me come to Mr.
And one of them is a general, a general, four-star general. I asked him, my brother, what happened? Because I don't think I conceive this. It doesn't, whatever my ordinary mind, that this guy, the way I know, the way I've seen him, that can put all of you, and I counted for him about 15 smart heads I know. Say, put all of you in one basket, lied to you. Do you know, not just lying to be in government, but lying to you to go and put your life in line of fire?
Yeah, you die for him.
That must be, if that is not certain, then what?
Mr. Cheno, what do we do then? Do we just, I don't know, evict the Minister for Works? Do we have to chase these contractors? How do we solve this particular?
No, this country will not change. I know part of the conversations around mental health. I want to tell you that this is a sick state. Obote used to refer to, in the course of Uganda, that a fish rots from the top.
Yeah.
And so basically this thing is rotten at the core from Rakitura. At the beginning, I told you that we told you so as UPC to an extent of what Asuman is saying. I sometimes, in trying to explain these things, I have to hold back because people think you're basically being too harsh on some of your own colleagues. Sometimes people think you're doing too much politics.
Yeah.
But like I say, the reality is we have to deal with the facts. The fact is Museveni hoodwinked Ugandans. Museveni duped Ugandans, as best you would say that they were duped, by the way. And somehow there is possibly an element of witchcraft of some sort, which I don't know yet. Obote called it that Museveni seems to have injected something, you know, on Ugandans. But much more really should be about the people, the leaders who enabled and made Museveni and ran with it to where we are at the moment. I don't think this country is going to change any majorly fundamentally unless and until there is a change of direction. And that direction can only change with the end of Museveni. And really, in fact, my opinion is change of NRM. I think the majority of the citizens of this country, well, thankfully young Ugandans, ought to listen to what Asuman is saying and to recognize that they've been shortchanged, that this country is possible, which is usually my slogan, that all they need to do is to believe in better. And normally, as I said, when I talk, some people think I'm emphasizing too much about the past.
Yeah.
I emphasize the past in order to let even Asuman know that actually there was upon a passenger train from Tororo to Kampala. And that in that passenger train, you could take 2 hours to reach Kampala.
Hi, Rogers. Can I ask you something?
Shoot.
What does corruption mean?
Well, summarily, corruption is abuse of public power for personal gain or for the benefit of a group to which one owes allegiance. For example, when a public office is abused by an official accepting or soliciting a bribe. By the way, private people can be corrupt too, like bribing police officers to escape fines.
Okay. So exactly how does that concern me?
Well, do you pay taxes?
I guess, yeah. What does that have to do with this?
Everything. Because those taxes you pay are supposed to facilitate services you use, like water, electricity, roads construction, medicines in hospitals, name it.
Okay, that is much bigger than I thought. But it can be stopped, right?
Well, yes it can, although it may not be as easy as it sounds. And here is the reason why. Corruption roots are grounded in our country's social, political, economic, bureaucratic traditions and policies.
So, what has kept it going this long? I mean, why don't we stop it?
Well, the main reason why it has been here for so long is because institutions are weak, either as a result of poorly defined ethical standards of public service, weak administrative and financial systems, or ineffective watchdog agencies.
What can we do to stop it?
At a national level, we must focus on strengthening the independence and effectiveness of public institutions that fight corruption. At a personal level, we must commit to never giving a bribe.
I promise I'll never give a bribe.
Well, that's a great decision you have made. Me and you now have to spread this message to all our friends. If we all do our part, corruption will be no more.
This message is brought to you by Alternative Digital.
Are you craving for that special meal that will entice your taste buds and leave you with lasting thrilling memories? Look no further. Spice Island Bulenga has got your answer. Natural, fresh and delicious juice, the best meals. Don't miss our daily specials from Monday to Sunday. Pizza Wednesday, Saturday Pizza Bonanza, you buy one and take two. Come dine with us and feel the experience. We are located at Prime Shopping Center in Bulenga, Mitiana Road. For inquiries, call us on 0704111720. Spice Island, we treat your cravings.
Fellow citizens, following the sequence of events, Uganda seems to be at political crossroads.
I'm not a servant of anybody.
Madam, I know the law.
As such, Alternative Digital brings you the Interface Show with retired Colonel Dr. Kiza Besuje.
Let's keep on the same page on Alternative Digital,
As he gives you the alternatives on the transition question, rule of law, human rights and freedom, youth inclusion in governance, economic stagnation, as he confirms.
I'll be always here Saturday from 10 a.m. in the morning. Be there.
Don't miss the live discussion on the Alternative Uganda, Digital TV Facebook pages, and the Alternative Uganda YouTube channel.
Looking for a pair of shoes? Less Up Stores has a wide range of selection for unisex footwear. We have the best quality of all brands at pocket-friendly prices, and we make deliveries countrywide. Just place your order or reach us on 0772 08 0090. You can also check up at Less Up Stores on all our social media platforms. Less Up, craft your own footprints. Hi Rogers, can I ask you something?
Shoot.
What does corruption mean?
Well, summarily, corruption is abuse of public power for personal gain or for the benefit of a group to which one owes allegiance. For example, when a public office is abused by an official accepting or soliciting a bribe. By the way, private people can be corrupt too, like bribing police officers to escape fines.
Okay. So exactly how does that concern me?
Well, do you pay taxes?
I guess yeah. What does that have to do with this?
Everything. Because those taxes you pay are supposed to facilitate services you use, like water, electricity, roads construction, medicines in hospitals, name it.
Okay, that is much bigger than I thought. But it can be stopped, right?
Well, yes it can, although it may not be as easy as it sounds. And here is the reason why. Corruption roots are grounded in our country's social, political, economic, bureaucratic traditions and policies.
So, what has kept it going this long? I mean, why don't we stop it?
Well, the main reason why it has been here for so long is because institutions are weak, either as a result of poorly defined ethical standards of public service, weak administrative and financial systems, or ineffective watchdog agencies.
What can we do to stop it?
At a national level, we must focus on strengthening the independence and effectiveness of public institutions that fight corruption. At a personal level, we must commit to never giving a bribe.
I promise I'll never give a bribe.
Well, that's a great decision you have made. Me and you now have to spread this message to all our friends. If we all do our part, corruption will be no more.
This message is brought to you by Alternative Digital. The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.